In WWE, we've seen many characters come and go. Some charismatic, some who rise against the authority, and whatever he is. But there's always been that one group so insane, so crazy, that they'll do almost anything to get the approval of the audience. And there's a name for these people, called daredevils. Daredevils in WWE are people who would do the craziest stunts, even if their life is at risk. For example, at King of the Ring 2001, Kurt Angle and Shane McMahon faced off in a street fight that to this day is considered the most brutal street fight in WWE history. So after spending the first half of the match hitting each other with trash cans and kendo sticks, Angle and Shane are by the entrance, about to do the spot where they throw Shane through the glass. Kurt Angle gives Shane a belly-to-belly suplex into the glass, but it doesn't break. So at this point, Kurt Angle's tailbone is cracked, Vince McMahon is in the back pissed and wants to end the match, and Shane just got dropped on his head. But guess what he whispers to Kurt Angle? Do it again. After everything he's been through up to that point and getting dropped on his head, he wants to do it again is crazy. And it doesn't even end there. There was that time he was feuding with Kane, and on an episode of Raw, he ended up getting his balls electrocuted. The week before, Shane would throw Kane into a pit of fire. But the next week on Raw, Kane would come back to get revenge by electrocuting his balls. What sick, freaky individual agrees to this type of stuff?
I have more ammunition in my cannon than you'll ever realize.
Also, he jumped off the Titantron at Backlash. All this tells us is that Shane doesn't care about his life, and why would he? He's a trust fund kid. He's never been through the struggle. He's never eaten the off-brand food items. And he knows if he gets permanently injured, he can live off his daddy's money. But at the end of the day, we have to give Shane his props. He could have easily hid out in a mansion, buying the finest clothes and Bugattis, but instead decided to entertain us fans. But another insane guy was Jeff Hardy. Don't get me wrong, he was a cool guy, with the sleeves and the face paint, and he's the one that taught us those cool moves as a kid. But let's not forget, he was a drug addict. Bro had to be smoking weed with Randy Orton and RVD. He was popping pills, and these pills can make you do crazy things. Ask Kurt Angle. But Jeff Hardy was wilding out. Like on January 14th, 2008 episode of Raw, Randy Orton would challenge Jeff Hardy for his Intercontinental Championship in the main event. But as soon as the match starts, Randy Orton low blows Jeff Hardy, getting disqualified. Orton then tries to RKO Jeff on the concrete floor, but Jeff Hardy breaks free and they begin to battle up the ramp. Eventually, they get to the edge of the stage. Randy Orton is about to punt kick Jeff Hardy in the head, but at the last second, Jeff Hardy gives Randy a back body drop off the stage onto the ground. So at this point, any normal thinking person would be like, alright, I'm no longer in danger. I could just leave. But in this situation, this is no normal person. This is Jeff Hardy. Jeff Hardy realizes that Orton is down and decides to climb the Raw stage and do a swanton bomb. But once he's up there, he then realizes he can put his life in more danger and go even higher. Now Jeff is about 20 plus feet in the air and he decides to jump off onto Randy Orton. EMTs and referees start rushing out to see if they're okay, and the show ends with Jeff being carried off in a stretcher. And that's just the tip of the iceberg, because just 5 months later, at One Night Stand, Jeff Hardy would face Umaga in a Falls Count Anywhere match. They would battle in the ring, outside the ring, and around the arena until they get to the loading dock. Jeff Hardy and Umaga are fighting by one of the trucks. Jeff climbs the truck and Umaga chases after him. Jeff begins to kick at Umaga until he falls off onto the asphalt. Jeff gets to the top and does a swanton bomb off the truck onto Umaga, who's on the asphalt ground. You can't make this stuff up. This is a level of insanity that a normal person can't reach. But that's why we love him. But he's not even the craziest one. There's a man even crazier, more riskier, that you think he has nothing left to lose. Mick Foley. Mick Foley is the pure definition of a daredevil. It seemed like Mick Foley would do almost any stunt to capture that big moment. For example, at WrestleMania 22, Mick Foley would face Edge in a hardcore match. The match would have brutal moments, but the most brutal one was at the end. As Mick Foley was standing on the apron, Lita would pour lighter fluid on a table set up outside and light the table on fire. Edge and Foley would risk their lives by having Edge spear Foley off the apron through the flaming table. Another time was at the 1999 Royal Rumble. Mankind versus The Rock in an I Quit match. This match, like all of Mick Foley's matches, were brutal. It would get to a point where Mankind and The Rock are on a ledge fighting. They're throwing punches at each other, but The Rock eventually knocks Mankind off, sending him into the electric circuit board. At this point, Mankind is broken and beaten down, but refuses to quit. The Rock then drags Mankind back to the ring and handcuffs him. He places a chair on Mankind's face and performs the people's elbow. He then asks Mankind to say "I quit," but guess what he responds with?
Go to hell, Rock!
While Mick Foley's family cries at ringside, The Rock hits Mankind in the skull with the chair 11 times. Mankind, who is halfway unconscious by the ring entrance, is laying face first on the ground. The Rock asks him one last time if he quits. A voice recording from Heat of Mankind screaming "I quit" plays, which leads to The Rock winning the WWF Championship. Mankind, after all he's been through, not even saying "I quit" shows how insane he really is. But let's not forget about the most famous match of Mick Foley's career, his Hell in a Cell match with The Undertaker. On June 28, 1998 at King of the Ring, Mankind would face The Undertaker in a Hell in a Cell match. The match begins with Mankind coming out and climbing the cell to the top. Undertaker makes his entrance and follows Mick Foley up the cell. They do battle back and forth at the top of the cell until they get to the edge. With Mankind wavering at the edge, Undertaker would throw him off the cell. Medical officials come running out to put Mick Foley on a stretcher and wheel him to the back. Mankind's by the entrance on a stretcher when all of a sudden, Mankind jumps off the stretcher and begins to walk back to the cell with a smile on his face. Undertaker, who is climbing down from the cell, sees Mankind coming back and he's like, "Bet," and starts to climb back up the cage. When they're both up there, Undertaker chokeslams Mankind and he goes through the cell. This was not supposed to happen. He really fell through the cage. Everybody in the back thought he was dead. Foley was in the middle of the ring unconscious. It was wild. And what makes this even crazier is that they continued the match right after. So, in summary, WWE Daredevils just don't care. They really don't care about their life.